So let me just quickly go into what I'll be presenting for today. Yes, so I don't know if you can enable me to share my screen, or I'll wait till that is done. So okay, thank you very much. So I can share my screen now. So I'll be talking about a topic that is very dear to me. Okay, so please can you confirm if you can see my screen right now?
Yes, Tolu, I can see your screen.
All right, great. So yes, so I'll be talking about a topic that is very dear to my heart because this is something I've experienced firsthand, and I think it's a great opportunity and it's a privilege to share a bit of my knowledge on this topic with you guys. So it's about how you discover your niche and how that also empowers you to overcome imposter syndrome as a data personnel in Nigeria. So just a brief introduction into the topic. How come this topic? How did I come about this topic? Well, trust me, we have a lot of data personnel across the world because, it was said to be specifically data science was said to be the hottest job of the 21st century. So we have a lot of people gravitating towards this as a career because, it pays the cash and it pays the check. So a lot of people are into it, they're going into it. And even in Nigeria, we have a lot of people gravitating towards data analysis, business intelligence. And you find yourself as a single person in the data field. And then you feel like, how do I even matter? Or how am I really going to make a difference? What's my role? I mean, I'm just one amidst 1,000. It's just like feeling like a tiny speck of dust in the island or on the beach. So really, how do you really overcome this feeling of being an imposter? Or am I sure I'm not just imitating someone else? So I'm just wasting my time here. So that's basically what the topic is about. So I'll be sharing a few things with you today. Yes, so I've done a very brief overview of the topic, but before I proceed further, okay, so what is really imposter syndrome and what do we talk about when we say imposter syndrome? Well, I want to believe that you guys have a brief knowledge about what imposter syndrome means. It's just like a psychological condition, but it's majorly characterized by you having doubt in your abilities, and you feel that one day very soon someone is just going to land on you and they'll be like fake. So that's just a very simple way of explaining it. Then someone wake up one day and decide that to pick you out that you're a fraud. So it's that feeling that you have consistently. You don't believe in yourself. You feel like your accomplishments and your abilities are just nothing. And one day someone will catch you and you'll be done for. So that's just a simple definition of imposter syndrome. And yeah, it affects people in different ways. So now let's go to the aspect of how we can solve this imposter syndrome, how we can solve this feeling of doubting our own abilities. It's about niching. So when I'm talking about niching, there are several definitions, but there's this specific one, or there are these specific 3 definitions that stuck to me, and I decided that no, I'm not going to let these definitions go. So referencing the Merriam-Webster dictionary this time around. So what's a niche, or what does niche mean basically? So the first definition says a niche is a place, employment, status, or activity for which a person is best fitted. A person or a thing is best fitted, which means that is where you belong. That is your fitting. It seems as if that's the place where you need to be. That's the place of your purpose fulfillment. The second definition says a niche is an habitat that supplies the factors necessary for the existence of an organism, which means that when you're in your niche, you're in your place, you're in your space, you are there, and that place is actually giving you the factors, giving you the things that you need to exist as a person, which means it's supplying you all the necessary resources that you need to exist as a person in the large data field that we have in this day and age. And the third definition is that a niche is an ecological role of an organism in a community. So we can see everything that all those 3 definitions go through. It goes through factors, being the place where you are best suited for, but most importantly, focuses on your role as a person in the data field. So those are the 3 definitions that stuck out, and we'll be working with these definitions as we go on. So now to the very important question is, how do you identify your niche? How do you find yourself? How do you know your niche as a data personnel? So I'll say first and foremost, identify your passion, hobbies, and interest, and then your peculiar giftings. So how do you identify this? I feel like this is quite ambitious and it's quite vague. So I'm going to break it down by giving you some core questions that you need to ask for you to find your passion, your hobbies, your interest, and then your peculiar giftings. About peculiar gifts is there's something that is specific to you that that no, I'm very good at this area. It's a gift for me. And so many people have commented about it. Oh, you have this gift. Oh, you have that gift. Oh, you're very good at this. Oh, you're very good at that. Sorry. Yeah, so there's something, it's peculiar to you, and that's your gifting. But these are core questions for you to actually identify those, your passions, your hobbies, and your interests. So I came down to 7 questions. Number 1 question is, what have I loved doing since I was young? What is that thing that I've consistently been doing since I was young? I don't find it to be stressful. I don't find it to be work. Number 2 question is, what drives me and what pains me? What's that thing that makes me keep going? And at the same time, what's that thing that is the source of pain to my heart that I would like to see an improvement on, or I'd like to see it changed? Number 3 question is, what am I interested? What am I interested in? Am I interested in fashion? Am I interested in music? Different things. Am I interested in the healthcare? Different things. Just find your interest. And number 4 is, if I was to keep doing something, or if I was to keep doing some things for the rest of my life without getting bored, what would those things be, or what would that specific thing be? So find that thing that you would keep doing and you wouldn't get bored. And number 5 question, what am I so good at that it just comes to me easily? That thing that just comes to you easily doesn't feel like you need to put any extra effort. Number 6, what kind of person do I want to be? And lastly, how do I want to contribute to the world? Well, these are core questions that I've put together that you need to ask yourself. These are questions that will help you identify who you are, what are the things you want to do. And they will actually give you, when you find answers, you start discovering, and that your niche starts uncovering itself. You start discovering it, you start seeing it, you start seeing the layers inside of it. And number 2, I would say, it's not included in this slide, but it's something that I've done that has worked for me. Ask your creator. Ask your creator. Ask him, what do you want me to do? What's that thing that I'm so good at? Just go ahead and ask him. And then number 3, ask the people closest to you for them to help you identify your strengths and your weaknesses. You always have those people that are around you. There was this time, I think 2 or 3 years ago, I had to create a survey or a form because I was starting to feel like I wasn't doing enough. And one day someone would just say, oh, come on, cut the crap. You're not needed anymore. So I created this survey. I sent it to 10 people that are very close to me, that know me well, and they wouldn't even lie to me. So I sent a survey to them and told them to fill it. So they told me about my strengths and weaknesses, and I actually used the feedback from the survey. Well, what can you do? Can you blame a business intelligence and data analyst for doing that? Of course, I always need data. And of course, I work with data, so you can't blame me for doing that. So I sent it, I got the feedback from them, and I was able to maximize this feedback. I was able to work on myself better, to know the areas of improvement. I was able to make improvements, and, I was able to also maximize my strengths and work on my potentials. And number 4, talk to people, research, ask questions about people that have once been your dilemma, connect to them and have a chat. This 3rd point is something that I got from this book, Becoming. I don't know how many of you have read Becoming by Michelle Obama, but that book is very useful. Please take time to check it out once you have the time. So Becoming by Michelle Obama, referencing pages 130 to 158 specifically, you see the journey of Michelle Obama into discovering herself and discovering her own career path and finding her own specific niche. So she was able to connect with a lot of people through her boyfriend back then. That was Barack Obama. So she found people, she talked to them, that was even how she got a mentor, talks to them. They were able to help her discover the things that she needs to do. People like her, people who wanted to transition from law into what they are interested in. So she connected with them, had the chats with them. She researched, she asked different questions, and that helped her find what she really wanted to do. And she turned that into a career. So number 4, Now that you have gained more clarity, how do you integrate your interest and peculiar giftings with data? So now you have gained more clarity, you have discovered what you want to do for the rest of your life, you have discovered your interest. You can have more than one interest, trust me. I'm kind of person that has more than one interest. My mind is so vast that I want to keep learning. So of course, I ventured into edge tech, and you must have heard about the project earlier as well. I also ventured into solving a problem on sickle cell, because solving that specific sickle cell problem is just an entry phase into that project. But I plan on doing more with it because it's very dear to my heart. So it's a problem I've been wanting to solve since I was like 8 or 9. Yeah, so that gave me a pathway to discover that I really wanted to do that. So now that you have gained more clarity, integrate data. How do you integrate your interest with data? Bring data into it. There are a lot of people doing great things with data. You know, one thing that touched me about Adelola Adebo is when the first speaker, Christina Onoja, spoke about the fact that she bridged the gap between beauty, fashion, and tech, which means she found her interest, she found what she wanted to do, and she found a way to merge that together with tech. So definitely you can find the way to do that, merge it with tech, get data on that niche that you have found. Is it music? Is it? There are lots of problems that have been solved across the data industry. Just find a way to go through that, and you find your way through it. So yes. So now let's go into the process. After you found your niche, you found yourself. It's like a self-discovery, it's like a self-realization. You finally know who you are. So what's the next step? Next step is about gathering knowledge in your niche. And most of you might ask, why do you always need to gather knowledge? I've been speaking about research since morning. Why is it necessary to gather this knowledge? Well, let me tell you, it's very necessary because it helps you. You know, there was this quote from also another course that I did, is how to speak. While I was prepping for this conference, you know, I took a quick course on how to speak in front of an audience because I knew that would give me an insight into bits of things. So I took this course on Atsingi, and there was a peculiar thing that was said there. It says, you fear what you don't know. You fear what you don't know, which means that the fear comes in, the feeling of dissatisfaction comes in, the feeling of doubt comes in when you don't know something, because you don't know it and you just don't know it. So that's a very good importance of knowledge gathering in your data niche. So you gather knowledge so that you won't be afraid, so that you can, you know, throw away the feeling of doubt. You can throw it out the window. And another thing, why is it important to gather knowledge? Because it helps you to start getting confident in your skills. So it helps you to build more confidence. I'm still going to share more importance of this later, but let's go to the next thing about finding the right resources. How do you find the right resources for you to get enough knowledge? So when you find how to get resources, well, there are lots of ways. Seek mentorship, yes. Once you've discovered your data niche, you've found your niche and what you want to do, seek mentorship. Go into LinkedIn, go out on LinkedIn, find people who are into your industry already or who are already in your niche. Talk to them, connect with them on LinkedIn. If you find one that proves that you feel like that's where you want to be the next few years, connect to that person and talk to that person, you know. And, you know, when you start exchanging knowledge, of course, you need to prove useful to your mentor. You can't always just be collecting without proving useful. So, of course, you share resources with you. You need to attend conferences. Yes, very important, just like you are doing right now. So I'm congratulating each and every one of you for being here. You need to check for networks on LinkedIn, just like I said earlier, and ask questions about resources. And one important thing that's proven useful, be in a community. Once you find your niche, find your community, be in that community. There's always a community that will create dozens of resources for you. They will share knowledge, create resources. You can ask them questions about a problem that you're facing, and of course, in your career. So when you are in a community, it gives you the mind, or it helps you create a safe space that this is where my people are. And also, if you don't have a community, or if you can't see one, create one. Be a trendsetter, be a pace setter, create a community, invite people to come in and join you. So third thing, learn the necessary tools that will prove useful for you. There are lots of tools that you need to learn that will prove useful for you. Just learn these tools, go about these resources. Of course, you know where you have gathered the tools, where you have gathered the knowledge, the resources. They have supplied you the resources to use. They have supplied you the tools that will be needed. Then start learning them. Start taking baby steps. But while learning, it is also very important to enjoy the learning phase. Some people want to rush and go into their goals, but set learning objective for yourself. Okay, after I learn this tool, what is the objective for me learning this tool? What do I want to do with this tool that I've learned? So set learning objectives for yourself. Enjoy the learning phase. And lastly, stay up to trend with the latest developments. Stay up to date with the latest trends and developments in your niche. So you stay up to date by subscribing to newsletters, read articles online, read recent papers that are being released in your specific niche. Go about those stuffs and make use of them. There are lots of resources online. So yes, I'm going to, next one, I'll be going to understanding the necessary tools. So yes, just like I said earlier, the purpose of understanding the necessary tools is that it really helps you and it empowers you to use these tools effectively. And it enhances problem solving and makes you stand out as a person. So that's what it does. It actually empowers you to leverage these tools, to leverage their functionalities, use them effectively, enables you to create accurate analysis, to do a lot of things. So that's why you need to understand the use of the necessary tools. And some of the examples of tools that I've come across in data are DMA tools. So when I'm talking about DMA tools, I'm talking about data manipulation and analysis tools, such as Python, R, SQL, Excel, data viz tools, Power BI, Zoho Analytics, Tableau, and of course, machine learning and data mining tools such as scikit-learn, NIME, Python frameworks such as TensorFlow and PyTorch. These tools are just basic fundamental tools that are being used in the data field nowadays, or that are being used in the data world. So these tools are, I think they are quite peculiar to just data mining, business intelligence, data science, machine learning, artificial intelligence. These tools are peculiar to the specific data areas. And of course, I'm talking about different niches: fashion, music, talk about it, healthcare, edtech, talk about different things. And next one is to use these tools to solve real world problems. So when I'm saying solve real world problems, I don't say you should dive into massive data and start consuming your time and start feeling useless on it. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Get platforms. There are competition platforms, Kaggle, Zindi. If you feel intimidated on Kaggle, please, there are other competition platforms that a lot of us don't know about. So, datasource.ai is a competition platform. There's Analytics Vidya, there's divindata.org, there's Crowd Analytics. There are lots of platforms that are beginner friendly. So if you feel intimidated by Kaggle or Zindi, just go on these other platforms: Analytics Vidya, datasource.ai, divindata.ai, Crowd Analytics. This will prove to be very useful for you. Then I want to talk about becoming wise in your application. How do you become wise in your application? Now that you've run through different things, you've understand your tools, you've known your niche, you've known different things. Now it's time to pick up that specific project that was always on your mind. Find a problem and solve it. What's that problem? What's that thing that's been on your mind? That's when I came up with, it was actually my final year project, that project that was talked about earlier, detecting sickle cell crisis early. That was my final year project. It was a very simple project and it did wonders. Someone recently heard about it, and the person wanted me to connect with another person that was doing the project on a larger scale. So that kind of gave me a nice visibility. So just pick up a project, find that project that problem that you've always wanted to solve, pick up data sets, create data sets if needed, visit places, and start to solve that problem with data. Number 2, don't be afraid to show your project to the world. Put your territory on your project. Put your signature on your project. Let people know that this is my project. Post it on, publish papers, write papers on the project, write articles, publish it on ResearchGate, publish it on academia. Let people know that this is the work that I have done. Put your project on LinkedIn. Let people know that this is what I have done and this is what I am doing. A lot of people will reach out to you to ask you questions. Even if they don't, they can always reference back that you have done something nice, or you have done something like this. And so if they need to do something like that is similar to that, they will reach out to you because you have done that project and you have written an article or something on it, or you have written a post on it. Then, yes, after what are the best practices for applying knowledge? So what are the things that you need to know to apply your knowledge and tools in your niche? Finally, you've written a project, you've done the project, you've written an article on it. Now it's time to start attending conferences. I've said it earlier, I'm saying it again. sign up for paper presentations, attend conferences. You know, some conferences are very peculiar. I'm talking about international conferences. Some conferences are so funny that immediately you present a paper, you have an advantage when you have a paper to present, in that you could easily get sponsorship compared to other people. I'm talking about visa sponsorship. I'm talking about plane tickets. You could easily get sponsorship if you have papers to present, which means you already have a purpose. And while you're at it, please, if you need to volunteer at conferences, please, if there's opening for volunteers, volunteer at conferences, get to know people, then present your paper, let people know about your paper, and don't be scared of what you're doing. Then yes, just like I said earlier, benefits of finding your niche. It gives you a lot of benefits. It increases your confidence in your skills, it increases your productivity at work, gives you a sense of satisfaction in your career. You have the sense of fulfillment. You know, it gives you the expertise and the specialization. You're able to make an impactful contribution in the world, and you're able to alleviate further confusions, and you move at a reasonable pace, and then you get a sense of direction as well. These are just few of the benefits of finding your niche. And also, what are the tips for overcoming imposter syndrome? Because of course, you know, it takes time to build these things. What are the tips that you need? Please avoid unhealthy comparison. Don't compare yourself with another person. You are unique and you're peculiar. Stop comparing yourself. Enjoy your journey. Go at your own pace, and don't let other people affect you. Embrace opportunities and challenges to showcase your skills. Don't hide your skills. Showcase your skills. Find a way to showcase your skills. Don't let anybody shut you down. You have a right to speak. Embrace failure. Don't let failure bring you down. As techies, we have failed a lot, but we are failing forward. That's the important thing. We see ways to get better and we do it better. Maximize your strengths and your weaknesses. Work on your strengths. Work on your weaknesses rather than maximize your strengths. Then create a reward system for yourself. Celebrate your achievements. So if you go on my LinkedIn page recently, I made a post about my little achievement that I was proud of it, because that was a way for me to overcome the imposter syndrome as well, because I recently felt it. So I created a reward system for myself. I celebrated my achievement on LinkedIn, and you know, it was a nice feeling for me. And lastly, please be true to yourself. Whatever you do, don't allow anybody shut you down. Know who you are, be true to yourself. Don't compare yourself with another person. So what's the importance? Like I've said earlier, I've already talked about those things earlier. It increases your confidence and the rest. So what are the real world examples that I've seen, or the real life examples that I've seen? Michelle Obama, just like I said, please go back to read that book, Becoming, 130 to 158, pages 130 to 158. They're important. It's walk you through the journey of Michelle Obama and how she overcame that imposter syndrome, or that feeling of not feeling important. Then Kingsley Owadara. Kingsley Owadara is my friend. He's into AI ethics and responsible AI. You know, the peculiarity about those two is that they transitioned into AI, into something else from law. So they both studied law. So I actually love this example. Kingsley Owadara studied law, but is presently into AI ethics and responsible AI, which means he found a way to integrate his studies or his degree together with his passion, integrated law into AI, and that made a pathway for him. So yes, in conclusion, after everything that we have said, you know the importance of finding your niche. It's important for you to stand out so that you can overcome the imposter syndrome. And I've already told you the benefits of finding your niche. And please, I'm talking to women this time around, or females. Don't feel like you're unimportant. Feel that you're important. You matter. Your voice matters. Don't be afraid to speak. Talk where you need to talk because you have gained the sufficient knowledge, but don't go and talk nonsense, please. I am not encouraging that. You know, do your research, find your facts, know your tools. When it's time to talk, don't be shut down. Talk where you need to talk. Let people know that this is what I am doing, because you have found your niche, you have found your strength. That is your strength. Let it propel you. Swore. You're not a bird. You're not a small bird. You're not a chicken. You're an eagle. So please feel free to spread your wings and fly. So as much as possible, find communities that assist women as well, find mentors and do a lot of things. There's so much within you that you need to unleash. Please don't keep quiet about it. And of course, so that will bring me to the end of my session. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Of course, the resources that I used, Becoming by Michelle Obama, How to Speak in Front of an Audience by Atinki, and of course, you know now, Google search and ChatGPT. Always been saving lives since the 90s. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.